Hello everyone. We're going to remove the 391 from the chainsaw mill, and since I'm up here at the shop and have access to the air compressor, take the opportunity to clean the mill up as well as the saw. The sawdust as you're milling, it just absolutely covers up everything. And the mill doesn't require a whole lot of maintenance, but as you pull these bolts out, a couple of things that can make it easier for when we have to either reinstall the saw into the mill or make adjustments as we're milling on a project. But let's clean this thing up. I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope some of this information helps you. If you're new to chainsaw milling, this is a lot of fun in my opinion, but it's also a lot of work. Let's get started and get the saw out of the mill. So while I have it up here and I'm cleaning, I'm just going to take a small wire brush, clean the threads off of the bolt. That way when we go back together the next time, this thing should be pretty easy to get the saw in place. Any oil residue that is spread across the chainsaw mill will also collect all the sawdust. And this is not something you have to do all the time, but it will make it easier to get the saw back in and have it ready for the next milling project. You can also remove a lot of excess weight from your mill, the nose up here being the hardest part to keep clean because of all the oil that comes off the chain and bar. See, that one there was pretty snug. Bring this up for you. Should be able to see all the sawdust around the bolt. Keeping these threads clean will help you. I do try to keep these threads equal on all 4 bolts as I clamp the saw in. And positively nothing wrong with taking a few minutes to protect your investment. Keeping it clean, easy way to do that. Okay. And there is most certainly not a shortage of sawdust. You'll have that stuff everywhere. You can see how it's gathered around the saw. And the clutch area, because you're constantly running your saw at a 90-degree angle, so your clutch area will store a lot of sawdust. Keeping the sawdust cleaned out of this area will help your chain stay oiled. And you can see all the sawdust here where the power unit clamps in. Again, oil holding that dust in place, as well as down here around this area where the oil is slinging off the end of the bar. Get rid of the majority of this. Stop making a mess in the shop floor. I did bring a little wire brush with me. Alright, that pretty well cleans us up. I'm going to check and make sure all my rails are still tight, the crossbar, and then this thing should be pretty well set and ready to go again. And the big takeaway here is absolutely making sure I've got my saw cleaned back up, and you can see in that area around the sprocket and clutch here, I mean, it's just absolutely covered up with sawdust. That's a lot. This will help your saw run cooler, and this will help our chain and bar receive oil from the oiler as well, removing all that sawdust. And if you think about it in typical applications, when you're sawing straight down like this, the sawdust has a chance to remove itself. But when we're running the chainsaw mill and this saw is staying in this position for long periods of time, then all that sawdust wants to stack up right there at the clutch and oiler. This is where the fan draws air for keeping the engine cool. So always make sure this area is clear as well. And it doesn't hurt to keep it looking nice. And you definitely don't want to open this up and get a bunch of sawdust drop down into your oil or fuel tank. Typically after milling one log, I will remove the cap and actually clean the air filter on the saw as well. Alright, I think we've got that ready to go. Let's see if I can get you up here and get a look inside the clutch area there now. Yeah, already better. Alright, that's starting to look better. And I've talked about this in my videos too. I picked this paintbrush up at Harbor Freight yesterday for 99 cents. This is a 2-inch brush, and I keep these available for keeping this stuff cleaned off while I am milling. And that really does help remove the sawdust. If I have the saw in the chainsaw mill, I can brush all of the sawdust away before I add oil and fuel. So 99 cents may save you a bunch of trouble with the mill or the saw itself. It's also nice to be able to set that down in your floor and not have a bunch of sawdust fall off of it. Now, Stihl suggests that you flip your bar about every 3rd time you sharpen or so, and that will help wear this bar equally as you're using it for firewood or milling. Now, even though we cleaned this out with the air hose there earlier, you can see how much is still built up inside of here. And again, this is where we're putting oil from the oiler onto our chain and bar. Now right down here on the bottom, there's a little port right there, and I'm going to take a small broach and clean that out because that allows oil to drip down onto the bar and make it to the bottom of the chain, as well as keep our sprocket oiled. Now, this type of maintenance will allow you to get a longer life out of your bar and your chain, as well as your saw. And it doesn't take a whole lot of time, and I would rather do this now before I start the project than have to do it while I'm busy on the project. Let me show you what I've got going on. Probably be able to see that little port a little easier now. So just make sure you keep sawdust that's built up in there clear. And it'll help your bar and chain oil easier. Cleaning the edge of the bar out, I just use the flat screwdriver. As a matter of fact, normally you'll get one of these with your saw. Just make sure you can reach all the way down in there, and you can see, I mean, there's quite a bit stuck underneath there. And you can take your air hose and further clean your bar up if you choose to. These bars are not cheap, so whatever you can do to extend the lifespan on them is in your favor. Well, we've got everything ready to go. Retightened, everything looks good on the mill. It is really nice to clean up the chainsaw, get all the extra sawdust away from it, help this tool last a lot longer, and in many cases last a lifetime if they're properly taken care of. I am going out this morning to find a couple of cedar trees, and I think we may rebuild the farm trailer that we use dragging behind the mule all the time. Thanks for watching. If you're milling, have a good time out there, and I'll talk to you on the next one.